We're 50 minutes in. Let's talk about this movie.
Hey, you said it was only 1 minute that you need to talk about it.
Well, that's true. I literally listen. I'll go ahead and say. First of all, say this movie. What's it called?
So I mean, this is how I'm pronouncing it. I don't know if this is the right way. I say Space Monster Wangmagwi.
I think that's got to be right. I got it right here, Jay. This is your copy. Thank you for sending this.
Oh, no worries. And I got the VHS copy too. I just don't have it here in front of me.
I only brought that in here so I could use it to help try to pronounce the name.
We'll just call it this. We'll just refer to it from now on as Space Monster.
Space Monster. Yeah. Jay, you want to give a little bit of the history about this Lost movie, which maybe should have stayed lost?
Yeah. So I don't know more than most people that have read the first blurbs that SRS Cinema put out about it. And, thank you to those guys for that damn banner. Thank you for those guys once again bringing us, the best and obscure kaiju film. And so this one, lost isn't exactly the right term. It was more just unattainable. So they would play this. It was owned and it was at the Korean Film Archive in South Korea. And they would play it during film festivals and other things. And so every few years, like if you were living in South Korea and you were seeking it out, like you could see it. But it was never shown outside the country. The rights were never produced. Even within the country, the rights weren't ever attained to distribute it. So SRS, they bridged that gap and they let us, it might as well have been lost to us, right? And so
sure,
yes. And so it was in the 60s, late 60s, 1967, I believe. And so this came out a month maybe before WANGWAGMI. So you could say like this was the first kaiju film from South Korea, not counting Bulgasari, which was what Pulgasari was based off of, which is actually lost, destroyed, none in existence. And so the reason this film still has a little bit of buzz in Korea and probably is like, a question of some obscure, trivia night at a bar is because that the claim, and after seeing the film, I don't believe it, but the claim has always been it's the most extras like ever used in a film at 157,000. Yes, exactly.
What scene is that?
Exactly. So that sounds like some North Korea propaganda, not South Korea.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
They had to cut all 50,000 people, whatever.
We used them, but it was cut.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's a deleted scene, and so there was a lot of like buzz and hype and stuff around the movie, but needless to say, it was not something that made huge waves within Korea. Otherwise, they would have distributed that thing out. Yeah. So that was it. I mean, it's 1967, but it feels like it was made in 1957 with the song. But so I'm curious your overall thoughts on it after seeing it finally.
I do want to say, like, even though I didn't really enjoy watching it, I do think it's really cool that SRS was able to get it out there, and that's just cool. I'm really excited that they've been able to put a few kaiju films out in various different ways. That always is that's an important thing, whether you like the movie or not. That's important, and as many of these movies should be out there as possible. That being said, there wasn't much I liked about this movie at all. I do want to point out, like, I'm going to show this again for anybody who's seeing the cover. That design looks awesome.
Yeah,
that looks cool. Whatever that monster, whatever that monster is cool. It's not in this movie. The monster that's in this movie looks. Whenever they first show it, they're on their ship and it's like human sized.
Yeah,
I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And I was like, "Hold on, is that this?" And then the whole thing happens. It irradiates and blows up really big, and it's a big creature, and it's the worst costume I've ever seen. It's just like, it looks like they bought like, cement in a can or something and just sprayed it over his whole body and then like molded. It's just the dumbest looking costume. They spent no time on it. I don't have anything to say about this movie, Jay. This movie sucks. The only thing I want to, what the only thing I want to talk about in this movie is. You know what it is.
What, the kid peeing in his head?
a kid pees inside of its head.
Yeah,
this little weird kid gets picked up by the monster, ends up crawling into its ear, slicing its eardrum open with a knife, rattling around in its brain, and then it
swinging on nose hairs.
Yeah, swings on some nose hairs, and he like ends up getting stuck up there, and he just has to sit there, and he takes a piss inside the monster's head. It is the only part of this movie that I enjoyed.
So, I'm going to do a little compliment sandwich. And I'm going to make sure I start with something good and end with something good. And in the middle might be some stuff that's a little critical. Okay. So, a positive. Sure. I actually thought the quality of the filming, like the actual like cinematography, because when I found like, oh, it's a lost film, I was thinking this was going to be grainy, a lot of like dialogue missing, like whether it was how well they did it or how well SRS upscaled it. I actually thought like it was way better than my expectation as far as like the quality of the print, and like these people were.
It is a good quality print.
Yeah, these people were in Korea were trying to make a movie. It wasn't like a tongue-in-cheek.
Editing's weird though.
So we got that.
The editing's weird.
That's in the middle part. That's the middle part.
Right.
But I mean, like as far as the actual, it's like if there were other actors and other plot devices stuff, if it was shot the same way, we could have a pretty good film, right? If everything that actually was going on the film was different, it might be good. I did like that. And then so about the negative, I think the biggest thing that just makes this film not unwatchable, but pretty close, is there's no resemblance of a cohesive plot. It is almost like little vignettes, because you have like, and you don't know who to follow. Like at the first, it's like, okay, there's the air captain and the lady and his fiance that she wants to get married, and
which I like that.
Yeah,
I like that, so because I was like, oh, there's gonna be like a kaiju attack in the middle of a wedding. This might be cool.
In the middle of the wedding. Yeah, and so it's like, okay, so the first X amount of minutes, third of the film or whatever, you're like, you have this story, and you think he's gonna be the main hero protagonist, she's gonna be the damsel in distress. And aside from the commentary on Korean women in the 60s, where their wedding matters more than getting stomped on by kaiju, besides that, like, at least, okay, here's a plot. Yeah, here's a plot.
Yeah.
Then abruptly stops, and it's like, there's these two comedy buddies that
did not like these guys at all.
Oh my gosh. Talk about going on for too long. And then the whole thing is they're going to bet on who can last the longest before running away from the monster as he attacks. And it's intentional comedy, but unfortunately it's not funny. And so, and then they're talking about he's trading his wife, and then there's this whole weird like wife swapping thing. And that's kind of
weird because it's like, and it's like it's like 10 to 15 minutes of them in a room with her, and there's just nothing happening.
Nothing going on.
They're just talking. They're like rambling. I was like, what is this?
And it's so bizarre. So like those are the characters. Okay, so what happened to the wife, the fiance, and the Air Force guy? Then you get this rascal homeless kid who then is now the focus of the show in the last half. And he does cross over obviously with the fiance, because she has the whole Fay Ray King Kong treatment, right? But like there's no cohesive plot, there's nobody to follow. The actual rampage and destruction is very limited. And so like
it's also
there's
paper
nothing
mache.
There. It's also paper mache. And yes, there's the mask and all that type of stuff is
the foot. The
feet are the worst. I have that on my notes.
Paper mache feet.
Yeah, the feet are the worst. I go put in a bad costume. The feet are the worst. Hey, I'll give them this. There isn't any other kaiju that look like Wangmagwi. I'll give them that. So, but ultimately, it's that there's no like cohesive plot. There's nothing for you to follow and like hook on to as somebody that's viewing it. And then, okay, that's fine if you have an amazing monster fights or destruction, and you don't get that either. And the other thing that's kind of finishing off the middle part of the critical part of the compliment sandwich is it's the like least energetic movie. Like there's nothing that's fun in it at all.
I mean, there are multiple. Yeah, there are multiple scenes of the monster just standing there.
Yeah,
like not doing anything. Hey, before you get into
far away.
Yeah. Before you get into the second good part, there are also a couple times in the film where it looks like they were editing and they left a couple frames of a scene in. So it goes from a scene, quick shot of a monster, and then right into something else. And it's not purposeful. It's not purposeful. It's like they left a couple frames in. That happens like 5 times. And I was just like, that's an easy fix. That's a really easy fix.
That's sloppy. Yeah, that's sloppiness. And then the other thing, I guess, actually, there's one other thing I have to mention. The other iconic scene from this, and I'll use the word iconic, other than the kid peeing. I mean, we have to talk about the Me Too with the monster and his love of cleavage, with the focus in on the fiance's cleavage and then panned back out. It's like, what was the fucking point of that? I mean, it was like weird. I don't know if they were going with like the King. I know, right? He is canceled, like the King Kong Lives thing. I don't know if they were going with that. That was really bad. So it's a boring, low energy film with no cohesive plot and no characters that you can get behind, and a terrible creature design with very bad feet. So that's the key takeaways. But the other positives, I would say, I did like one in the broad realm of the special effects. I actually thought some of the miniatures were pretty good. I actually thought some of the buildings were pretty good for what I was looking for. And some of the angles that the miniatures were shot to make them look a little bit bigger, I thought those were fine. That was like, I was worried they were going to look like something out of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or something. I thought those were better. They spent more budget on the miniatures, I think, than they did the costume of
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I forgot. There was one thing I really actually did like genuinely like not ironically, I think is actually the best part of the whole movie. The one redeeming thing, the outfits for the aliens. Love them. Talk about retro sci-fi. Those are amazing.
They look like Easter Island like big statues,
soup cans on their head.
They were so funny. I thought they were so
funny. That was and like having to take them serious. Like, just I can imagine the actor like wearing this, being like, I mean, I guess it's probably different in 1967 Korea, but like just thinking like wearing that and like, yes, I'm gonna have to be serious for a moment in these giant, like it is the cliche retro sci-fi, making fun of cliche retro sci-fi costuming. And I was like, that is worth the price of admission right there. But everything else is pretty bad.
There was one line of dialogue that the aliens had that I thought was kind of funny. And they're talking about, you know, the humans are trying to kill the creature. And they're like, well, if their heat ray gun doesn't work, then they're probably going to use nuclear weapons. And then they're basically like, oh shit, well, that's not that. We need them to not. That'll fuck it up for us too. You know, it's like it was just funny the way it's as if they didn't even think about that, and they were like, oh, I hope not. You know, because we need the land or whatever. It's like,
it's like a weird environmental message, but yeah, it is a, you know, if you want to watch it, so say you watched it, I would say like there's 2 reasons. It's for the wacky scenes of, you know, cleavage zoom ins by a giant kaiju, kids peeing inside the, you know, ear canal of a monster, the weird guy just jumping off the building with an umbrella, random underwear shots, like weird stuff, and unedited scenes, like I said, like clips that shouldn't have been left in.
I will say, I don't think I've ever seen another kaiju film where one of your characters is running around inside the head of a living kaiju. Like it's
not a robot.
Just in its ear, walking around in its ear. I would say on a serious note, I would support it just because I want SR, you know, I want cinema to keep being able to put these movies out and to keep finding or restoring or bringing back, you know, long forgotten kaiju films, independent kaiju films. I think that's really cool. And I would spend money buying this movie, even after seeing what I saw, just to help them out. I will say the trailers, you know, you put the DVD in or the Blu-ray, it automatically starts playing. Have you watched any of the trailers in front of this, Jay?
I have not. No.
Hey, good, because you put the trailers on and it's immediately like a bunch. The first trailer is for a movie called Doll Shark, about a spirit of a shark that lives in a stuffed animal. And it's all like, you know, it doesn't even look like it was filmed on an iPhone. You know, it's all Sharks of the Corn was on here.
We love those sharks.
Which
they did they do Toilet Shark or something like that? Bathroom
Probably.
Shark? Wasn't that one of theirs?
Yeah, I don't know. It's on here. Like the first 3 trailers are shark movies, and I was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
You're the shark aficionado.
Well, I've seen Sharks of the Corn. I watched it. I actually watched it like a week ago at work, and it's very bad. But it's like it's a weird string of movies that you can't tell if they're a joke or.
They're serious.
What the fuck is happening? They're all bad, and it's like the premises are like, oh, that's clearly supposed to be funny. Doll Shark is supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
But the movie is bad. It looks bad, it's acted badly, it's written bad. Nothing, you know, it's not a good movie. It's still shit. So all the trailers are like that, and I'm like, oh, don't put these in front of this doesn't make me feel good about what I'm about to watch.
Well, and that's bad marketing too, because they should be putting their other stuff in their kind of kaiju focused.
There's
catalog,
no kaiju
right?
trailers in it.
Yeah, like, they did Nezera, and they've done a couple other ones.
I'm guessing it's all stuff that was like getting ready to come out. Yeah, as the it was all newer stuff, so they didn't. But yeah, you would think they would put Conga, TNT, and
they did Nezera, which was one that about the making of the rat kaiju film that didn't happen, and it's a movie about them trying to make the movie. But I hope they keep doing this, man. I hope they keep doing good stuff and bringing this stuff over so we can have these amazing shows, because I'm totally going to be picking the next 10 movies.
Nope, we're going to do a good movie next, a good movie or a good show. I can't sit down for another one of these in a row.
Oh, come on. You feel more cultured having watched that. Come on.
I do. I mean, listen, I like being able to tell people, I've seen this, they have, and you haven't, but
you have more street cred now. Yeah.
I have street cred.
It replaces Daigoro versus Goliath.
Space Monster Wangmagwi or whatever the fuck is called. So dumb. All right, Jet, you got anything else to say about this movie?
I think we've said everything that can be said about it.
We have said in this 18 minutes, we just spent 18 minutes talking about this movie. And in that 18 minutes, we have said more words about this film than anyone ever has or ever will. But what I'm telling you right now is the only words you need to know are these 3 words at the bottom of the screen. That's it.
Monster Island. Oh, that one. Yes,
That's it. This movie.
You're not wrong.